Hello, everybody. My name is Ryan Koki of the Seahawk Recap Show, and welcome to Week 18, the season final game for your Seattle Seahawks for the 2025-2026 season. 49ers versus your Seattle Seahawks. And yes, this is insane. NFC West champs and the leaders, the first seed of the NFC. That means a bye week and home field advantage for Super Bowl 60 in this year. Man, I cannot describe to you how excited I am for this season because this is the first time I will be doing Seahawks game recaps for the playoffs for the Seahawks, and they're 2 wins away going into the divisional next week, or sorry, week prior to that. And it's just insane. But let me um, get into the recap of this week 18 final for the 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks. If you like this video, please consider giving it a like. It helps me know if I'm doing a good job with these videos or not. And if you like to, please subscribe to the channel to help me reach 100 subscribers. That we greatly appreciated. So let's get to the game summary. Let's talk about the 49ers first because they were the home team on Saturday night. 173 yards total, 120 yards passing, 53 yards rushing. They averaged 4.1 yards per play, had 9 first downs, went 2 for 9 on third down, went 0 for 2 on fourth down, had 42 total plays, 3 sacks allowed, 4 punts. They had 3 penalties for 31 yards given up, 0 fumbles lost, and 1 interception thrown by Brock Purdy in the fourth quarter, late in the fourth quarter. That was picked off by Drake Thomas. The 49ers ended the day off with 22 minutes and 12 seconds of possession time. For your Seattle Seahawks, they had 361 total yards, 181 yards passing, 180 yards rushing, averaged 5.4 yards per play, 23 first downs, 6 for 13 on third down. They went 0 for 1 on fourth down on the first drive of the game. We'll talk about that a little bit. But they had 67 total plays, 2 sacks allowed, 1 punt, 5 penalties for 25 yards given up, 0 fumbles lost, 0 interceptions thrown by Sam Darnold, and the Seahawks ended off the night with 37 minutes and 48 seconds of possession time. Ryan's focus players, let's talk about Brock Purdy. 19 for 27, 127 yards, 0 touchdowns. Of course, the 1 pick by Drake Thomas with, I believe, 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter to basically seal this 13-3 win for your Seattle Seahawks. And I must say, okay, Brock Purdy actually did not have a bad game. When you look at his stats, you can look at it and go, oh, he had a pretty bad game just by stat watching. But if you actually watch the game last night on Saturday, you'll realize that the 49ers not only were without Trent Williams, their star all pro left tackle, but they were also without their number one wide receiver in Ricky Pearsall. But what happened here was this Seahawks defense is the best in the league this season at the amount of pressure they were able to generate on Brock Purdy. So he didn't get a pass until the fourth quarter that was over 20 yards in length, and that was to George Kittle. When you look at Brock Purdy, though, he was able to get up and try to avoid pressure. He made some very nifty moves with his footwork, trying to escape the pocket and do some sort of things. But this Seahawks defense dominated from start to finish. And I gotta hand it to Brock Purdy, man. Staying in there and taking the hits from guys like DeMarcus Lawrence. I know Derek Hall got in there a couple of times in this game. Jaron Reed got in there for a sack as well. But staying in there and fighting. And I really like Brock Purdy. 49ers fans are not going to really like me saying I like Brock Purdy because they think that he's just a check down merchant to Christian McCaffrey. But no, I think if you had Mac Jones in there, he would still get sacked. He would still have the same, this would be the same kind of result for the 49ers in this game, considering their injuries. So good game from Brock Purdy overall, even though his stats don't look like he did much in this game. Let's talk about running back Christian McCaffrey. 8 carries for 23 yards, averaged 2.9 yards per carry, no touchdowns, had 6 receptions for 34 yards, averaging 5.7 yards per reception, and 0 touchdowns. And when Christian McCaffrey can't get going on the ground, you know this defense is legit, and the Seahawks are legit. You look at the game that was played yesterday, the entire first half, the Seahawks should have been up 20 plus points, but they wasted some opportunities, and the defense played lights out night long, all night long. And Christian McCaffrey just couldn't get anything going on the ground. Despite the offensive line troubles, he still couldn't get anything going on the ground. And this defensive front for the Seahawks really penetrated and really did some really stout defensive stuff in the run game, which is something that they wanted to improve on this year, and they have over the season. But with Christian McCaffrey, man, he had 6 receptions. He had 34 yards in this game, and that was basically Purdy's only option. The only options Purdy had on offense last night was either chuck it down to Christian McCaffrey because he can't get the ball out quick enough because he can't go through his reads because he's getting hounded, or he tries to throw it to George Kittle, and George Kittle miraculously makes some catches, or he tries to throw it to Juwan Jennings, who he tried to, but he missed the mark on a couple of those throws. But Christian McCaffrey, we all know his strengths. We all know his skill set. He is a dual threat running back in the backfield. His shiftiness, his explosiveness, and how he can just move around and be that kind of swift army knife with his vision. It couldn't get going on the ground today, but we also know that he is prolific in the pass game. So that should serve the 49ers well in the wild card round when they get to it next week. Let's talk about George Kittle, the tight end, and one of the best tight ends in the league. 5 receptions, 29 yards, averaging 5.8 yards per reception, 0 touchdowns. And George Kittle, man, caught the longest pass of the night last night with 20 yards. He had 5 receptions for 9 yards before the fourth quarter started. And then I believe it was 7 minutes into the fourth quarter, he got a 20-yard catch thrown by Brock Purdy, and he caught that, and that was the majority of his yards this game. But again, George Kittle, such a prolific tight end. He is the arbiter, I think, of what a modern tight end in the NFL is. Not only can he block, but he can also make ridiculous catches like he did last night. He wasn't very effective last night, considering that the Seahawks secondary is just that good, but I think George Kittle still had a pretty decent day considering the circumstances that they were put on in Santa Clara last night. Let's get to the 49ers defense, and let's talk about D lineman, D edge, Sam Okuwanu. I apologize, I butchered that completely, but he had 4 solo tackles, 0 assisted, the 1 sack, no forced fumbles. And Okuwanu, man, he did very well in this game, considering that the 49ers were without Nick Bosa for the majority of this year with a torn ACL, and they're without Fred Warner. Their defense is pretty banged up, just in general. So to see guys that I've never seen on the field before making plays for this 49ers defense, I know the 49ers defense has not been great this season considering all the injuries they've gone through, but to get a sack on this O-line for the Seahawks, he was going up against Josh Jones. A lot of his reps were against Josh Jones in this game, and to get a sack in there, that shows a little bit of life from this 49ers D-line. We'll see what happens in the playoffs with them, but good game from Sam. Let's get to DB, talking about the young corner Upton Stout. 4 solo tackles, 2 assisted, no sacks, no interceptions. And I'm speaking on Upton Stout today because last night he is a guy that I heard on the broadcast, like Troy Aikman and Joe Buck were talking about this guy in particular. I believe he's out of Florida State. I believe he was taken in this year's draft. You can correct me if I'm wrong, 49ers fans, but this guy looks to be like a stepping stone to being in a great conversation in the next couple of years of 49ers corners. I think his ability this game to blanket the field and stop Cooper Kupp. He was mostly on Cooper Kupp in the slot when he was playing. And one play in particular was really eye-opening to me because we look at Upton Stout, and in the run game, he actually was very helpful in the run game. That's why he has 4 solo tackles, because he's able to tackle like a Demon Lord uh, Lenore there at that position. He is a corner that is in the slot. He's practicing in the slot, and he's going to be a very good DB for the 49ers come up next season or the year after that. Let's get to linebacker Tatum Bathum. 2 solo tackles, 5 assisted, 1 sack, no interceptions. And Bathum, man, this is a guy that I had no idea existed. Another guy that was in this linebacker core for the 49ers. And without Fred Warner there, you're relying on Eric Kendricks and Bathum here. And although he got injured at multiple points in this game, I hope he is okay, because looking at how many injuries you guys have suffered, and even as a rival, I can look at your team and kind of feel bad for you, because you never want to see players get hurt. But when he was on the field, Bathum was pretty interesting in terms of his tackling prowess, because the Seahawks run game today, especially or last night, especially with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, were getting to the second level almost instantly because of the offensive line push that the Seahawks were having. And Bathum was there making the tackles that he needed to, always ready to clean up on the tackles. And when you sent pressure up the middle, he did get a sack on Sam Darnold. So good game from him. Let's talk about the Seahawks. Sam Darnold, QB, 20 for 26, 198 yards passing, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And again, if you've been around here for a while and listened to most of my Seahawks game recaps this year, you'll know what I'm about to say here. That's a game manager game. That is a purely, okay, take care of the football and let the running backs do everything else. Throw the ball when you need to, but make sure you have ball security. And that's exactly what you have Sam Darnold for. Because if you've got him in a system where it's run first, you're going to need a reliable quarterback like Sam Darnold, who is going to throw some interceptions at some point, but he can also bounce back and show his resilience. This guy last night, his precision, his guts to throw some of the passes that he was throwing, like some of his passes, they needed to be precision perfect. I'm thinking of that AJ Barner catch. I don't know who would have picked that ball off, but it was in the first quarter, and it was just a beautifully placed ball to AJ Barner. And if he was 1 millimeter off, he would have gotten picked off, but he didn't. He's shown a lot of moxie and swagger in the way that he's able to move around in the pocket. Yes, he did get sacked a couple times in this game, but his resilience to stand in there, take the hits, throw the passes that he needs to throw, and although he didn't get any touchdowns, he also didn't give the ball away. And in a game like this where it was low scoring, 13-3, you need to not throw the ball away and give the ball away to the other team. And Sam Darnold did exactly that. Put up some numbers. He put up almost 200 yards of passing, and he did great in this one. So good game from Sam Darnold. Let's get to running back Kenneth Walker, 16 carries, 97 yards, averaged 6.1 yards per carry, zero touchdowns, had four receptions for 36 yards, averaging 9 yards per reception, and zero touchdowns. But oh man, oh man, oh man. At the beginning of the year, I mentioned that Kenneth Walker, I believe, was going to need to have a big season to stay on this team because his contract is expiring this year. And now Kenneth Walker has 1,000 yards on the season. He's gotten more involved in this offense over this past year with Clint Kubiak, and he almost gets another 100-yard game. Like he did that 2 weeks ago, and he almost gets another 100-yard game here. And the way he is running, this is old Kenneth Walker. This is bringing me back to the first year, his rookie year, where he got 1,000 yards. This is eerily similar. His explosiveness. Now he's got a ability to um, see where he's going through the gaps in the O line. He's able to now run with a lot more urgency, and he's able to bowl through people. Hard, gritty runs, not just the explosive talent with how fast he is or whatever. It's more like I'm going to run downhill and I'm going to be able to run through your contact. His contact balance has gotten so much better over the past 4 years. And he's been amazing. And in this game in particular, he broke off some big runs. I believe he had his longest run was a 26-yard run. And on a 3rd and 17, when everybody in the league is probably thinking you should pass the ball in a long yardage situation like that, Clint Kubiak sticks to his running backs, and Kenneth Walker delivers on that promise, picking up a 3rd and 17 in the fourth quarter to salt this game basically away for the Seahawks. This is what this Clint Kubiak offense is meant to do. Run it down your throats and then set up play action to throw it deep to Jackson Smith-Njigba. Speaking of Jackson Smith-Njigba, let's get to the wide receiver. Jackson Smith-Njigba, 6 receptions, 84 yards, averaging 14 yards per reception, zero touchdowns. Man, another guy, Jackson Smith-Njigba, coming into the season, number one de facto wide receiver after the DK Metcalf trade and the Tyler Lockett release. And this guy, on all facets of the field, is just mental. Demonor Lenore was calling out Jackson Smith-Njigba before this game, saying he wanted him. He wanted this matchup. And Jackson Smith-Njigba, when he was lined up against the 49ers corner, toasted him. Toasted him. And then he went over to the other side where Green was, number 0 on the 49ers, and toasted him as well. Jackson Smith-Njigba is not only the best wide receiver in the NFL this year in terms of stats wise, but this guy is going to break some records for the Seahawks that are held by DK Metcalf and Doug Baldwin. Like, this guy, after his career in Seattle is over, he's going to be a legend in Seahawks history. I love the way he's able to do some of the fluid motions that, frankly, no other human, I think, can do except for these kind of freak athletes that you see in the NFL. That corkscrew kind of catch where Sam Darnold threw it up and threw it kind of lazily, and it was thrown a little bit behind him, and he was throwing over the middle, back across his body, and Jackson Smith and Jigga was just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna jump up and catch this and make a highlight reel like catch, like it's just nothing. And as someone who is disabled and, can't do that, I look at these guys who are catching these types of passes and I'm just losing my mind because I'm like, my body can't do that. Not only like if it was conditioned, it still wouldn't be able to do that. So that takes an immense talent. So great game from Jackson Smith and Jigba and great season from him overall. Let's go to the Seahawks defense. We finally have a name for this Seahawks defense, the dark side. Let's talk about D tackle Jaron Reed. 2 solo tackles, no assisted, the 1 sack, no forced fumbles, but Jaron Reed, the reason why I'm highlighting him here is not only did he get a sack in this game, but he has been a long time Seattle Seahawk for a very long time, and he broke a record, or at least got onto a list of very powerful defensive linemen. I believe that's 100 sacks for Jaron Reed in his career, putting him, I believe, 10th in Seahawks history. He's in the record books, and there's a very good reason why. Jaron Reed is part of this elite defensive line unit that has had a rotating cast of defensive personnel on it. You can never account for how this Seahawks defense will line up with their defensive front because they've got guys like Byron Murphy who are just straight power. And then they've got guys like Jaron Reed who can snuff out the run like it's nobody's business. It's insane to see these guys do this well and to see the progression from year 2 in Mike Macdonald's tenure with this defense. It's brilliant. So I love this dark side mentality for this Seahawks defense. Good game from Jaron Reed, and let's keep it up. Let's talk about DB. CB, Reek Woolen, 1 solo tackle, 1 assisted, no sacks, no interceptions. Reason why I'm highlighting Reek Woolen is because I've been very critical of him this season. I thought when he lost his starting job to Josh Jobe, that he was not going to see as much action because, he got kind of lazy in some of his effort levels and things like that. But Rick Woolen, man, ever since the second half of this season started, he's really started to pick it up. And I want to give him his flowers because this guy is putting it together in the Mike Macdonald system. And this is all what we expected Reek Woolen to be after his Pro Bowl rookie season. Man, the way he was moving today, nobody could get open for Brock Purdy because this secondary and Reek Woolen were there to shut them down. Reek Woolen made some plays today where he's just going, in at these guys in man coverage, and he's just blanketed all over him. Jawan Jennings, I know he was trying to get a couple of catches in this game, but he kept getting his passes swatted down by Reek Woolen, who has the wingspan of a Greek god. So, great game from Reek Woolen. I love to see what he's done in the second half of this season. I love to see what he did in this game with the amount of defensive pass deflections that he had in this game to help salt away this win for the Seahawks. Let's talk about linebacker Drake Thomas, 2 solo tackles, 3 assisted, 0 sacks, the 1 interception thrown by Brock Purdy. And man, Drake Thomas this season, oh my God, has he stepped it up in his 3rd year with the Seahawks. Especially in this game. He has been a unsung hero in the middle of this Seahawks defense as the middle linebacker. With Ernest Jones, it's been amazing to see him grow into this guy that went from a practice squad player on the Raiders to being signed with the Seahawks and then playing three straight years and getting better each year. And now he is a starter in this linebacker core at middle linebacker. The pick that he made, I could not believe that he picked that ball off because Brock Purdy was going. He threw the ball up to Christian McCaffrey. It was a really well placed ball, but it got deflected off of the tip by Boyamafe just enough to alter the ball and the trajectory, and it got into Christian McCaffrey's hands. Christian McCaffrey couldn't reel it in, and Drake Thomas is just like, okay, you're not going to reel it in. I'm going to, and makes the surefire catch and interception to seal this game away. They were on a drive, the 49ers, in the last little bit of the fourth quarter in this game. And if they had scored a touchdown there, it would have been a lot more interesting. It would have been 13-10 instead of 13-3. But you look at the progression that Drake Thomas has done, not just in this game. He was helping out with Christian McCaffrey and he was helping out with Brian Robertson, but just his talent level has been immense this season. So a great game from Drake Thomas. And we get to Ryan's final thoughts. What went well? The Seahawks dominated this game from start to finish, and they locked in. It was very, very impressive. The defense was locked in start to finish, and they are the best defense in the NFL this season. Again, I'm gonna keep reiterating it because to see how well the Seahawks have played, there's a reason why they've got 14 wins here in this season. The dramatic change on the players that have bought into the system, it's insane. And let's not forget here the offense. The offense played a full 60 minutes right out of the gate. They knew what was at stake. They knew that first seed in the NFC was on the line, and they know how important it is to get that. So, Zach Charbonnet, Kenneth Walker, game wreckers, just game wreckers. The two of them were insane this game. Zach Charbonnet had a touchdown this game. That's his 12th on the year. It was a 3rd and 2, and he runs it 26 more yards to the house, being basically untouchable because of how well the blocking was up front from AJ Barner. And you know what? Like, Zach Charbonnet is such a amazing 1-2 punch for this Seahawks offense. For a guy that loves to run the ball like Clint Kubiak loves to do, he couldn't ask for two better running backs in the league, in my opinion. This is brilliant. And back to the defense, because I didn't mention this. 9 first downs the entire game. 9. They allowed 9 in 60 minutes of football. Like that's unheard of. Like that is Legion of Boom levels of impressive. So just great game. And when we get the bye week, we come into the divisional and we take home field advantage and we run with it. This is our year. Try and do some big damage in the playoffs. But like everything, what to improve on? The only thing I would say that the Seahawks needed to improve on from this game was their red zone opportunities. And I'm going to repeat this. It is 13-3 this game, the final score. If anybody watched this game, you'll know that it should have probably been 23-3 at the end of this game, considering that the Seahawks had a terrific opening drive, like a terrific opening drive to start the game, and had a sack, went backwards, went all the way back, got it in 3rd and 12, got it all the way back to the 1 yard line, went for it on 4th, didn't get it, turned over the ball on downs. And there are just certain things in this game that you look at and go, it was a great offensive performance, a very dominant offensive performance. Um, but the capitalizing in the red zone was not there. Jason Myers missed 2 field goals today. He went 2 for 4 on field goals, but that's the thing. You need touchdowns, and in the playoffs, you need your red zone efficiency to be top notch because there are no weak teams in the playoffs this year. But my final thoughts. That is first place and a bye week for the Seahawks in the NFC. Holy crap, what a year. 14-3 on the year. Man, I I can't believe that that is even a real thing because the first year under Mike McDonald was what, 10-7? So you're looking at a 14-3 team here in his second year. That's phenomenal. And what I find most fun about this is that the national media, whenever I turned on one of those debate shows like First Take or The Herd or anything like that, they were talking about, oh, the Seahawks. They're gonna be third place in the NFC West. They're gonna miss the playoffs. And the amount of people that they lost in DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett and replacing Geno with Sam Darnold. Love how that take aged like milk. They didn't know how good this Mike McDonald coaching staff would be. No one had an idea. So to see them now blow my predictions out of the water, because I thought they were going to win 11 games this year. I thought they were only going to win 11. They said, hold my beer, and they got 14. So it's amazing. And I'm not freaking out because, man, I'm lost for words right now because this is surreal to me. Um, to see how well that the Seahawks have played throughout this season, the vast improvement that they've shown, it's insane. So let's keep it up. Let's do some damage in the playoffs. Let's try to get to the Super Bowl. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what every NFL fan who makes the playoffs wants their team to do. And honestly, I know it's a little bit early, but who knows? Maybe it's our year. But for the 49ers, I got to say, we're heated rivals. I hate you guys with a passion because you're always so good. And this year was no exception. You guys had an injury report throughout this entire season that was completely and utterly dreadful. Brock Purdy, I think, missed what, 6 games or something stupid like that with turf toe. You didn't have Fred Warner because he tore his ACL. You didn't have Nick Bosa who tore his ACL. You didn't have a bunch of your main guys for the majority of the season. And your record is 12-5. The NFC West was completely insane this year. It was a bloodbath. To see that 3 NFC West teams are now in the playoffs. Seahawks, Rams, 49ers. No one expected the 49ers to even be here considering the amount of injuries they had. So it's a testament to Kyle Shanahan in the way that he's built his system. It's a testament to building a system around just a bunch of misfits and going, hey, next man up mentality. We got this. That got you 12 wins this year. If you guys were healthy, you probably would have challenged for the division. So hats off to you guys. I can't wait to see what you guys do in the playoffs because I'm going to be doing playoff game recaps again this year. That's going to be a lot of fun. So, as a neutral observer, I'm going to be watching all the NFC West teams with great interest because it's just it's a lot of fun seeing how this NFC West has shaked out, and especially the 49ers after the year that they've had. But anyways, guys, that is it for this Seahawks game recap of Week 18, the season finale of the regular season. And now it's playoff time. It is playoff time. Ho, ho, ho. I can't wait for playoff time. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day and comment down below. How do you feel about the Seahawks being the first seed in the NFC? Anyways, take care of yourselves and have a good day. Go, Hawks, go.